This is Marvel Rivals. We're here on PlayStation 5. Be sure to like the video. Subscribing is great as well. So this is a free-to-play 6v6 hero shooter where essentially the game is just Overwatch, but they've thrown in Marvel characters. And yeah, it kind of works. So if you're coming from Overwatch, this is basically the exact same thing. Some objectives where you are attempting to push or defend against the cart being moved, and other objectives where you essentially need to capture certain circular positions. Literally the exact same. Which, you know, honestly, like I said, is kind of totally fine and works for this game. And it makes it a lot more easily accessible for those that like Overwatch and maybe want something a little bit different to enjoy. You get a wide range of different Marvel characters, Spider-Man, you've got Iron Man, Storm, so you get like Avengers, X-Men, Guardians of the Galaxy characters. You get all of the different options you could really expect and or I guess kind of want. There are some glaring missing options and some questionable character balancing in regards to abilities and stuff like that, but for a starting point, it's not bad at all. And you also get a selection of different maps, and they carve out different parts of the maps in order to give you a little bit more variation depending on the game mode and everything that you're playing. So yeah, kind of a genuinely solid starting point for this game, which is kind of interesting. So what are we getting here? It's a 4K resolution. Now, it is an Unreal Engine 5 game, so it's going to be some level of reconstruction going on there, as per usual. 60 FPS, which is expected. It seems to be largely smooth. I have noticed the odd hiccup when you're moving fast with certain characters in some situations, but for the most part, all runs fine, looks great. Not a problem. I guess there's also ray tracing, should be some level of lighting, little bits of reflection. It looks like low resolution reflections on certain surfaces like puddles and stuff, but yeah, not too bad. And yeah, that's kind of the main gist of this one. It's not bad. I've been having some fun playing it. I don't know if it's necessarily going to keep my interest in the long term, but I would say for now it's been pretty fun and pretty easy going. Another big highlight that I really enjoy in this is the destruction. So yeah, that's kind of one of the two key points that I would say make this feel any different from Overwatch, are elements of the map kind of getting a little shredded, and it resets after a bit too, but it's interesting. You have an enemy that's up in a tower being a nuisance. You just literally kind of destroy the tower. I mean, you can't destroy every part of the environment, and the destruction isn't like mind-blowingly high quality, but it's neat seeing the pieces fall apart, and interesting seeing the dynamics of the map kind of crumbling, allowing the play area to change slightly. Here's like the map regenerating, and yeah, it's kind of interesting that they offer that sort of thing within this game. It's kind of a cool touch, as to say, to have that sort of thing present within this. And it's not a badly done mechanic at all. It actually makes a lot of sense for this type of game. So, kind of impressed in that regard, I would say, of how things kind of destroy. The second part that makes this a little bit different from Overwatch is like the synergy between the characters. Now, obviously, you can have connected strategies in Overwatch, and your characters will sort of like make mentions and chat with each other and stuff. But what's interesting about this one is there's actually like team synergies, like what you would expect from, you know, like basically characters in Marvel. So you get the spider folk together, and the spider folks have like a special thing, like Spider-Man will get like sort of a venom kind of webbing sort of cluster thing, and you know, they'll benefit and boost each other. Rocket and Groot, like Groot can basically have Rocket jump on his shoulder, and then there's like other benefits. It's like basically a synergy of Tony Stark and Banner and someone else, and yeah, that's really interesting, especially as they likely add more characters over time, is just having all of these different dynamics. it could really make an interesting competitive thing too. Depending on like you and your pals maybe playing together, you could create a team of particular synergies that would allow you to be more effective as a squad, and then you would be able to do more competitive things. And if they added a new character, that could change up the dynamics of what goes against what, and you know, what sort of makes this dynamic work worse or work better. I do think there's very likely going to be some character balancing things going on in this one, but it should be interesting because it is a little like wildly all over the place in terms of like your damage and different characters doing things. Like you've got characters that do like shooting and some that do melee, and yeah, it could be a little wild in some matches how crazy things go. And some characters are better at like staying back a bit and just kind of shooting and contributing when others are distracted, and some are more like tanks. So like all the different Marvel characters are sort of filtrated into these different sections. So like you got your tanks, like I mentioned, you got more healer type role, you got sort of a middle ground, and I'm sure that's something they're going to build upon too down the road. I am tearing it up this match, I just want to put that out there. Absolutely fantastic. But yeah, there really is a lot going on in this one in terms of like basically under the hood type stuff, but it very much is just, as I said, Overwatch. I do wish there was a bit more variation, making this one come across as slightly more unique, because, you know, it does feel derivative to a degree, which, as I mentioned, you might actually really appreciate, because if you're coming from Overwatch and looking for something new to play, this is basically right within the wheelhouse. It has that sort of addictive, objective-focused game design that kind of keeps people playing, and it's really easy to, because like lobbies take half a second to find, and matches aren't terribly long, several minutes, and you just kind of keep going from one to the next to the next. MVP, yeah, okay, new lobby. So yeah, we've got an interesting foundation here. Just ignore the fact that I was walking against the wall like that. And then you've got this distinct art aesthetic, and the Punisher, who basically looks like he's eaten a bunch of other guys while enjoying a healthy, I guess you would say, plethora of steroids. He's ready to shoot things. But no, the distinct art style for this really does seem to capture, I guess you would say, more of the comic type look for the Marvel characters. And that, I think, in turn allows them to really add basically anyone they want down the road. I think the possibilities are kind of endless. You know, you can have all kinds of different, like, spider-type characters, or just any of the bazillions of characters that exist within the Marvel Universe. If they really went wild, you could probably do guest characters from other things as well, and they would fit in absolutely fine to this. I don't know if they will, or how long this will go on, or anything like that, but there's definitely some interesting potential for this in terms of what they're aiming to offer. And yeah, just like I like the look of it. I think it's really sort of neat. I didn't switch to my shotgun fast enough. Usually you can just destroy people close up with your shotgun as the Punisher. It's got a great set of weapons and tools if I use them effectively or get the right scenario going on. But yeah, everything looks pretty nice, and then they've got like this good variety of actual setups and scenarios, like the, you know, the greater worlds. There's like the Asgard area, and this is like of the future. And as long as they sort of build upon that and keep offering cool places to like visit, if that makes sense, to battle in, I think they've got something really good to enjoy. Seriously, I can't grapple up there. You've gotta be kidding. Seriously, I can't get by this. Yeah, it's really going to be interesting, though, to see like what the general response of this game is, because they've clearly spent some time creating unique dynamics and competition between the characters so that they can, you know, fight each other and have interesting twists on the combat. And, oh, did I get that character? They were like a little bit of an inch almost from killing them. Can't believe I messed up on not getting that finished. That's rough. And, you know, everything very vibrant and colorful with the different characters and the art style. But I do appreciate that while, you know, I guess you would say it is colorful and there's a lot going on and there could be crazy amounts of things going on, it still is very easy within the art aesthetic to understand, even when it's very hectic, who is who are your teammates, what kind of abilities are being shot. And that can be kind of a hard thing to do for this type of game, is to make sure, like, you can clearly tell the bad guys from the good guys on your squad, and be able to, like, actually, I guess you would say, not get distracted and or lost. That is really annoying if Spider-Man's able to kind of whip me up like that. Usually with Spider-Man, I can't seem to pull off the combo things like that, but that guy's got a really good handling on the Spider-Man, which is kind of amazing. Yeah, it's very, very interesting. But it all flows very nicely together and just moves incredibly fast, right? Like, you whip through these games and these lobbies, and I think people are going to appreciate the fact that the pacing is so insanely fast. Like, you are literally going from one wild adventure to the next, and the PlayStation 5 controller and everything feels really, really kind of nice and responsive for this particular game too, which I think will be appreciated if you're on the PS5. Oh, come on, Spider-Man. There we go. Triple kill. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, honestly, I just came from filming this like on the Xbox side of things, and I was not tearing it up like I am right now. Streaming-wise, I was, but yeah, video-wise, no, it's not to this level. That is for sure. Kind of a stark contrast, actually, which is kind of funny. But yeah, no, it's got all the different people you want to expect. This stunning thing is really annoying. And then just like the dynamics too of getting the right squad together can really make a big difference for how you fight. You know, getting those people out there that are healing and buffing you, and their ultimates, using the ultimates at the right time, and yeah, there are lots of little like smaller details that I think make like the biggest difference for being something that makes this appealing for people to play. I think it's quite a lot of fun. I do, you know, have elements where I'm like, hey, this is pretty derivative of what we've already seen, and it's nothing like different or crazy or new, and I don't know if I'd sit here playing this all the time, but I can definitely see myself having a pretty easy loop of being like, hey, we're gonna play this, and just kind of being, you know, just sort of sticking with it for a while. And I think really the excitement and the intrigue for this one, for me, is gonna come down to like how often they build things up, how the roster is gonna evolve. Are things gonna get like silly for characters, or are we going to keep having fun twists and turns and unique things popping up and, you know, changing stuff? And, you know, how are the deeper microtransactional things being handled, right? Like, we got battle passes, obviously, and then there's lots of character skins, and there's a lot of potential is the biggest thing here. I do wish it was like a slightly larger variant from Overwatch, so I wasn't just like, it's literally Overwatch, which I do think it is. More so than any other game I've played. You know, like, obviously there's Paladins and stuff like that, and other similar type games recently, but no, this one really, really taps into that familiarity, which you'll either love or find a little bit weird. I guess if you've never played Overwatch, this might be a game that's like, oh, Overwatch is just like this, maybe you like it because it's a bit more shooter focused, whereas this is, you know, more about sort of melee mixed with shooters. Like, there's lots of different power abilities being used here, let's be real. Which is kind of neat, yeah, no, it's interesting that they can actually kind of getting a resemblance of, like, mechanics working here. I also find some of the stuff a little bit weird, too, for how the characters move. Like, Spider-Man's web swinging isn't super smooth, and Iron Man's, like, flying through the air isn't super smooth. It seems like they can just kind of shove them into places that don't necessarily perfectly fit the type of characters, and it's very funny too because there's such a stark contrast when you compare the Spider-Man swinging in this to, like, obviously Marvel Spider-Man, which is, you know, the ongoing Spider-Man stuff at the moment, and just kind of the difference in the tech and the movement is kind of a little bit wild. But it makes sense when you've got, you know, big roster of characters that you're balancing. Like, there actually is quite a few characters in this game. No, I can't. The checkpoint. I can't show the characters at the moment, but, you know, like, there is all kinds of different people with unique abilities and, you know, different functions on your team, and that was kind of like, in this at least, I think is pretty impressively handled. Because you are getting characters, like some of them that shoot literal laser beams and some that fire guns, and it's amazing that they're, you know, if you think of it from like a power grading level, like what works and doesn't work, it's kind of entertaining. And then yeah, Punisher is just like a big shooter guy, and Almost a little boring and tame compared to the others, but he can really tear it up if you get the, you know, the right setup going on. And yeah, some of the abilities are cooler than other abilities, but every single character in this has just like a huge range of options. You know, like Venom's got all his stuff going on, and for the Scarlet Witch, and so does the Punisher, and every single character seems to have had some level of care in regards to making sure that they feel distinct, look distinct, and have different abilities. Even the spider folk, where you've got 3 that are, you know, basically spider people, right? But like Venom is completely different from Spider-Man, completely different from Penny Parker, I think, as well, and yeah, they just like completely different things. Even if you had similar spider people, which were, you know, using the same sort of skill sets, you could still give them different ultimates and unique things, and that's going to be the interesting thing, is just to see how far they kind of take the concepts of this game and how like wild it kind of gets. You know, how much things are going to change up over time, and yeah, I think just a steady amount of content should be enough to keep people going. Like the Marvel thing is a good enough loop for some people. It being like Overwatch is a good enough loop for some people. Just whether or not everybody finds it quite as fun. Because like I said, it is fun to play. Like, this is enjoyable. I'm having a good time with it. I just don't know if it's crazily memorable enough to like capture my interest compared to all the other options out there. But it has that fun element, and that is a pretty good thing to have. Oh, there, like, it is right on the line. Love almost was on time for them, but close but no cigar on that one, that's for sure. Holy. Yeah, Shotgun and Punisher's just got like the great abilities. Like, I haven't had as great as a match this time, but you know, you pick it up at times and you just really get in there and you get those kills going. It's pretty spectacular. Like, you know, the amazing, spectacular Ultimate Spider-Man. Yeah, this is really neat. Like, I didn't even expect some of the characters that they had in this. There's like the K-pop character. I'm like, I've never even heard of this individual. And that's kind of the magic here, is they can use it to promote like movies if they want. They can use it to promote like new comic things. Yeah, it kind of works as this sort of middle ground kind of Marvel cluster of creativity and crazy design. Are there? Oh, there's Venom swinging in and causing a lot of problems. I think we got this though, right? Like, I think this is pretty much a lock for our team to get this down, right? Yeah, we did. And you get like a little comic sequence, which is kind of cool. And yeah, it's nice. I guess we gotta do another match here. Me, the MVP again? Oh, I'm so good at this. I also really like what they've done with some of the designs of like the characters' hair, and then their like flowing capes. Looks so neat. Like Hela here, just really, really flashy, cool design that just really, really works well. It just resonates perfectly in capturing that sort of comic aesthetic while still being its own sort of thing, and very, very colorful. That's the biggest thing, it's just how colorful and distinct and fun this all is. Easygoing combat shooter action. I think that probably is the strongest thing going for it, is that it does just have something easy to play, easy to understand, and kind of aesthetically pleasing. I guess it also hits all the audiences pretty well, right? Because it's fast-paced combat, but it's not inherently violent or too graphic or anything, so anyone can dive in here and play this pretty easily without any sort of issues in that regard. Like, you just dive in, you get to play as a bunch of your favorite Marvel characters and some other ones too. They've got quite the roster, I would say. Quite the roster indeed. Fun surprises. That'll be the coolest thing, is if, you know, I doubt they probably will, but if they do introduce like neat surprises in that along the way, it would be really cool just to see some really random, like, obscure Marvel characters pop up in here. Could you imagine if we get like Howard the Duck or something like that? It'd be so potentially cool. But nah, they have like limitless potential with this one. If it lasts, if it's something that is of interest to people, I'm sure they could add just unlimited things. But that's the big question I have for this game, whether or not this game will have a long-term resonance in people, whether they keep wanting to play it or whether or not they kind of move on from it after checking out and being like, oh, it's okay, but, you know, what is the gripping kind of thing of it? And I think that could be a real question here, honestly.